responsible thing and hit record so that I can send this replay out, because I know we're going to cover a lot today. I mean, a lot, not meaning it's going to be complicated, but a lot that I think you're going to maybe want to come back, revisit the questions that we're talking about, and do a little bit more thinking after you have some time to digest things. But LB is tuning in from Montana. Wedding planning and management. And then Nadine is in New Jersey, a mobile day spa. I definitely am like way overdue for some spa services. I don't know about anybody else. North Carolina, Calgary. Nick is a training for leaders in small companies who want to evolve their teamwork beyond hierarchy. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Laura is tuning in from Oakland. Janelis in Barbados. Hi. Okay, so let's go ahead and kick things off, because I know if you're anything like me, you have a busy schedule, and that's exactly why you're here. But you're really here because you've put a lot of your proverbial chips on the table for your business, or it's probably more likely it's like all of your chips are on the table for your business. And what you need is for your business to actually make the money that you need it to. So that is exactly what we are going to cover here today. And I am going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see what I'm looking at. Can all of you see the screen? Will someone just give me like a thumbs up or an okay in the chat so that I know that I'm just not... Okay, sweet. All right. If you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. And then Danielle is going to be making sure that we see those along the way, but I'll answer those at the end, because I want to make sure that we cover everything and it's all in your minds as you dive into like, okay, how do I do this? But the thing that when you've got all of your chips on the table, the thing is that emotional drive usually means you're going to push really hard on making sure that it works. And when it comes to your marketing, you've probably pushed on the gas pedal really hard. And in the end, it's really because you follow a lot of really smart marketers. The Amy Porterfields, the Marie Forleos, the Gary V's, and the Jenna Kutchers. And all of these folks are really encouraging you to do things like lean into email marketing or SEO or Pinterest or social media. And so you want to do all these things because all these folks, like I said, are really smart, and they all have really successful businesses that we all admire. So why wouldn't you try to do all the things that they're telling you are good ideas? But that puts you in a place where you are doing all the things. You've pushed the gas pedal to the floor, and you're trying to create tons of reels every week, and then you're trying to repurpose them on TikTok, and you're even playing around with trial reels, and then you're setting up email sequences for everything that you can think of under the sun, on top of trying to send 2 newsletters a week. And then you're throwing money at Meta and Google ads because you got to spend money to make money. And then you're trying to blog every week, and you're buying all the bundles and all the summits and taking all of the courses, and you're trying to be on LinkedIn, and you're pitching yourself to be a guest on podcasts. And then you're trying to do like the whole social media is supposed to be social thing, right? And as you do that, you're bending over backwards. You're working on marketing in all the, little bits and pieces of spare time that you've got in your days. You're pulling long nights and staying up way past your bedtime to try to get it all done. And in the end, both you and your marketing feel like this. You feel tangled, you feel scrambled, and you are running in whatever direction this garbled line is. And in the end, what's happening is that you're being pressured to do the work of an entire marketing department. But you are only one person with probably 1 or 2 hours a week to work on your marketing, but you're trying to do all of this. You're trying to be the social media manager, the SEO specialist, the copywriter, the ad manager, the email marketer, the publicist, the content editor. And as you can see, the math doesn't math, right? All of these roles within a marketing department take up a pretty good amount of time, But again, you are one person with just an hour or two a week that you can sometimes, that you even struggle sometimes to muster up. And in the end, you're just doing too damn much. You're stretching yourself so thin, and you're not feeling like your marketing is actually moving the needle in the way that you need it to for your business. And that's not because you're not doing marketing. It's because you're not doing the marketing that you really need to do. And you're kind of just chasing someone else's dream that they have sold to you. Granted, they're really good at marketing and selling it to you, and they all make us feel like, oh, I really should be doing that. But simplifying things down is what we're going to focus on today. And that simplification isn't going to be me telling you, hey, you should outsource all of your marketing. I mean, like that would be really nice if we could all outsource our marketing, but most of us are like, I need to figure out how to do this on my own because we don't have the budget for that. If you do, great, please pick something to outsource for your marketing. But for the rest of us, it really comes down to simplifying our marketing so that it's actually an amount we can do, and it's also the right amount for us. So that's what we're going to dig into today. We're going to answer the question, what marketing do you really need to do? Because in the end, if you don't make some cuts to your marketing, what's going to happen is you're just going to stop doing your marketing. And that is not good for your business. We'll get into that in a little bit. But that means that today, I want you to make some choices and also start to put a marketing strategy in place for yourself. But in addition to talking about how you can start to create a marketing strategy for yourself that outlines the marketing you really need to do, you're going to walk away with these two big things. The two mistakes that I see small business owners make time and time again when it comes to planning their marketing, because I don't want you to make those mistakes. And then also the 5 questions that you should be asking in order to get to that marketing strategy. No Googling, no, nothing extra involved, just simple questions that you can ask yourself. But before we dive in, there's a couple things that I want to make sure we are all on the same page about, because that's the teacher in me. Let's get the class all on the same page. And let's start with, what even is marketing? So marketing, in the most simple terms that I can come up with, marketing is what you do to make sure that people know that your business exists. Because if they don't know that you exist, they can't buy from you. They can't give you their money, right? Or in other words, marketing is what you do to make sure your business isn't invisible. And I'm just going to let that one sink in for a second. Because I know that a lot of you emotionally struggle with marketing, but this is why everyone that you follow on the internet is barking at you to do your marketing. Because if you don't, your business is invisible. And that is not going to help you reach your goals or better your bottom line. And the other thing that I want to make sure that everyone understands is that the reality is that you can't just copy someone else's marketing strategy. And I know that you're out there following all these influencers, and I see people trying to do what Jenna Kutcher's doing, trying to do what Amy Porterfield's doing. But their businesses are not your businesses. Their customers are not your customers. And this is the big one. Their resources are not your resources. They actually have a marketing department to do all of the things, right? The thing that we all do not have. And so what is going to work for them really well isn't going to work the same for you. Okay, so my little but related tangent aside, before we get into the solution of figuring out how much marketing you really need to do, I want to make sure that we talk about the big mistakes that I see small business owners making. Because like I said, I really, really don't want you to make these mistakes. So the first mistake is your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Or, well, this is actually something that my dad used to say to us. I'm one of 4 kids. He would say this to us almost at every single dinner. Taylor, your eyes are bigger than your stomach. And the other thing he said was, you can always take more, but you can't put it back. And this totally relates to your marketing. Because when your eyes are bigger than your stomach, you end up taking on more marketing channels than you should. You end up thinking you should create more content at a faster cadence than you should. And that just piles the pressure on. And it's all because you have unrealistic expectations. And so what does this look like in real life? Well, it might mean that your Asana calendar looks a little bit like this, that all these like light blue greens boxes, you're trying to work on your marketing every single day. Because if you're trying to show up in all of the places, like how could you not need to market every single day to get it all done? But then you're trying to attend summits and you're coming to webinars. And then you also have your client projects that you're trying to keep moving forward, or just the general running of your business. And safe space, but hi, my name is Taylor, and I'm still guilty of falling prey to this mistake every once in a while. I don't know if you are, you can admit it, like I'm admitting it right now in the chat, or you can just silently admit it to yourself. But I know when I end up overcommitting to things, I'm just like, I get a little tweaky and I'm like, there's no time to do it all. How do I get it done? And so that's what a lot of folks feel like on a regular ongoing basis, instead of just like, oh, I made a mistake and I overbooked or overscheduled myself. So when it comes to your marketing, this looks way more doable, right? Like instead of trying to work on marketing every single day because you're trying to show up in all of the places, that you've got this sort of streamlined schedule that's like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. And so that's what we're trying to work you towards today. And the second mistake that folks make is stepping on the gas pedal, like to the floor, and then just totally letting off and being like on the gas, off the gas, on the gas, and off the gas. And, this is not fun, because in the end, I know that like you work really hard, you care a lot. So you think, oh, I should do more marketing, but you bite off more than you can chew. And then you get exhausted. And then that puts you in a place where you're just like, I need to like not do this anymore. And the reality is that puts you in the feast or famine cycle that I think everybody here has probably experienced that. And that is a marketing cycle, but that's not the marketing cycle that you should actually be in that's productive for your business. The marketing cycle that you actually should be in is you have like a bare minimum marketing mode that you're just like, I got to keep the lights on. So this is the bare minimum I'm going to do right now. Then you've got a regular marketing routine that puts you in maintenance mode. And then there's the like, let's go, I'm going to step on the gas pedal and like do all of the things mode. And this is what that looks like. The feast or famine marketing cycle, where you have done your marketing, you've booked some clients, but then you get too busy to work on your marketing. So eventually your leads go from a trickle to just like non-existent. And then you wake up one morning, you're like, okay, I need to do my marketing again. And so you do your marketing again and you book more clients. And then it's the same thing over and over again with these big peaks and valleys. And it is exhausting. But the cycle that I said I want you to be in looks more like this, like not so volatile, right? And it's where you do some marketing, you push hard because you've got an initiative that you need to take care of. And then you let yourself rest and you go into bare minimum marketing mode, which is not no marketing, it's just bare minimum. And then after you've rested, you get back into your regular ongoing marketing routine. And this is how you create sustainability in the long run. So now that I have primed you with all of the things, which are really like my Cliff Notes version of all of the marketing lessons that Taylor wants you to know, let's get to figuring out how much marketing you really need to do. Because marketing can be way easier than you think. And it can be way easier than you think when you don't bite off more than you can chew, when you stop trying to copy someone else, when you simplify it and have realistic expectations, and when you start asking yourself the right questions. And the right questions are there because your marketing strategy isn't something that some influencer on the internet can just like give you, right? Your marketing strategy gets created by the answers to these questions, and not just the answers, your answers to these questions. So these are the right questions to ask. These are those 5 questions that I want you to ask yourself in order to know, how much marketing do I really need to do? And we're going to walk through each one of these, and I'm going to chat about what it is, why it's important, and what you should do with your answer to each one. So the first question, what are your goals? Like every business coach or consultant has ever told you, like, what are your goals? Please tell me. But the reason that goals are important is because this sets your direction and helps you decide what you're going to say yes to and what you're going to say no to. But I don't want you to get super in the weeds with these goals because, again, they're just supposed to help you set a direction. What's the place that you are trying to get to? And so in Enji, the way that we present goals to folks, those are things like, I want to increase my sales. I want to get better leads. I want to build my brand. I want to do a better job with SEO. And I know that these goals sound generic, but I don't want you to roll your eyes at me because, again, we're just trying to set direction. But when push comes to shove, the things that you would do to increase sales are different than the things you would do to get better leads, are different than the things you would do to build your brand, are different than the things you would do to focus on SEO. And so I would love to know, I mean, knee-jerk reaction, you're probably like, Taylor, we're moving so fast. I don't have time to like think deeply about what all of my goals are right now. But just knee-jerk reaction, what's like your big priority came to your mind first goal for your business? Is it you are trying to just make more money and increase your sales? Or do you feel like, especially if you're a service-based provider, that the leads that you've gotten lately are like kind of poo-poo quality, and so you want to get better leads? Or do you want to build your brand so that you're more recognizable on the internet? I would love to know. So drop that in the chat. And I see increasing sales, peeps to sub me. I like that one, Janelle. Better quality clients, right? Like all these are really great goals. So in the end, whether you can come up with them quickly right now or you need some time to like think about it, I want you to decide on 1 to 3 goals to build your marketing strategy around. Okay, so the next question is, who are you selling to? Who do you sell to? And the reason that this is the next question is because once you've set the direction of like, where are you driving your business bus? It's time to pick your marketing channels. And these are going to help you actually get to your goals. Like what is it that you're going to do in order to, increase your sales, or where are you going to be online in order to build your brand? And if just in case that anyone's like, what is a marketing channel? A marketing channel is really just the places that you do your marketing. So things like social media or email marketing or advertising. So, asking yourself this question is important because this is actually the first point in time where you're probably going to start cutting things from your list, right? Because we're not here to do everything. And picking your marketing channels is related to this question of like, who am I selling to? Because you should pick marketing channels that are places that you feel confident your potential clients and customers are. Like if you're selling for the most part to Gen Xers, I'm using this just to create like a stark example. If you're selling to Gen Xers, you don't need to be on TikTok, right? Because Gen Xers are not really on TikTok in droves. So that's one half of the reason why you need to think of like, who is it that I'm selling to? But then the other part of this like nuanced answer is actually not related to customers, it's related to you. Because there's the places that your people are in real life and on the internet. And then there's the things that you like to do or you hate doing. And you're like, please do not tell me to do fill in the blank with my marketing, right? Like everybody has got at least one marketing channel or two that you're like, please don't tell me, please don't tell me, please don't tell me, right? So where those things intersect, overlap, Venn diagram, line graph, whatever floats your boat, I want you to pick 2 to 3 marketing channels that you feel confident your folks are on, that you also are not going to resent needing to be on, right? Like if you are not an on-camera person and doing what I'm doing right now makes you like want to pull a blanket over your head, then don't pick things like video marketing or YouTube, right? So that's where I want you to focus, or that's what I want you to think about when it comes to, okay, this is where I'm going to actually market my business. And if you're curious, some super common marketing channels for small businesses are social media, SEO and blogging, Pinterest, and email marketing, right? But there are lots of other choices. So you are by no means like those are the only ones that you can pick from. There's lots of options. All right. So now that you're starting to think, okay, I know my goals, I'm like 90% sure these are the marketing channels that I'm going to be on. The next question I want you to ask yourself is, where do your best leads come from? Because you should do more of that. Because in the end, you're not going to spend the exact same amount of time working on all of your marketing channels, right? And by all, I mean like max of 3. You're not going to spend like, if you have 2 or simple math, let's do 1 hour. If you have 1 hour a week, you're not going to spend 20 minutes on this channel and 20 minutes on that channel and 20 minutes on the other channel. Like there is one that is working already for you. And that's the one that you should prioritize and be the most active on. You should cultivate the most. So for service-based businesses, it's extremely rare that I have someone tell me that their best leads don't come from referrals. So like that's probably a marketing channel for you. But if it is, please don't only rely on referrals because that's a whole dangerous thing. And you should come talk to me about me or let me get on my soapbox on a different space or during a different time for that. But if that is where your best leads come from, then what do you need to prioritize? You need to prioritize relationships and networking and staying top of mind with past clients. Versus if you tell me, hey, my best leads actually find me on Google, then you should prioritize making sure your website is optimized, building landing pages, writing blog posts, getting backlinks to your site, right? Like lean into the thing that works because that's the smartest thing that any marketer can do. All right. The 4th question now is, what's your budget? And I did tell you that I'm not going to tell you to outsource all of your marketing. And I'm still not going to tell you to outsource all of your marketing because that costs a lot of money. But if you try to do your marketing without spending any money, it's legit the hardest way you're trying to do your marketing. Like, trust me. As someone who has not just founded a startup, worked at other startups, worked with a lot of clients who are trying to get businesses off the ground and tell me like, I really don't have any money to spend on my marketing. It is so hard to make something big out of no budget. So even if you're telling me, Taylor, I only have like maybe $100 a month that I can spend on marketing, that is fine. But I want you to have some sort of dollar amount set aside for you to invest at least in some of the tools that are going to help you do your marketing better. Maybe that's you need to invest in something that lets you go deep in SEO keyword research, or maybe you need to invest in software that helps you pre-schedule things. Whatever that is for you, this number just should not be 0 because as you see right there, $0 marketing is the hardest kind of marketing. And we're all looking for an easier way to get it done, right? We're not like, hi, Taylor, please make my life as complicated as it can be. Like, that's not what we want. Okay, so those are the 4 questions. And now we're moving on to the 5th question, the last question that also is the second question that is going to make you go, oh, I'm going to cut this stuff out. And that's, how much time do you have to work on your marketing every week? Like, really, honestly, Scouts honor, no lie. How much time do you have to set aside and work on your marketing every week? Because remember that Asana calendar? I know it's not that. Like, you are the business owner, you have lots of responsibilities on top of needing to, send out orders or deliver things to clients. Like, please don't tell me that you have 8 or 10 hours a week to work on your marketing, because I'm going to say you're a lying liar who lies, but I say that with all love. So most people, when I ask them this question, they kind of go, like an hour or 2, and they definitely make this face. This happens a lot when I'm at conferences or just having one-on-one calls with people. And if you are feeling any sort of like kind of ashamed emotions about that, please don't, because that is the number that I hear overwhelmingly from most small business owners, especially if they are doing their own marketing. So, but if you only have 1 or 2 hours a week to do your marketing, and you're thinking about your marketing mix of channels, where you're like, okay, I'm going to do social media and blogging and email marketing. What that means is that social media, email marketing, and blogging cannot be 5 reels a week, a blog post a week, and 2 email newsletters a week, right? Like, the math doesn't math. What 1 to 2 hours a week of having time that you can set aside to do your marketing would probably look like for you is, okay, I can probably like pre-record and pre-schedule 2 reels a week, or some form of 2 posts on social media. I can probably write 1 blog post a month, and then I can probably send 1 email newsletter a week if I batch my time, right? Like, that's why this question is so important, because it takes all of the other thinking that you've done in the past with the other 4 questions, and it's like, some things maybe you have to take a scalpel to. Some things you're like, nope, I got to machete this, because my eyes were still too big for my stomach, and I'm having unrealistic expectations about what I can accomplish in this amount of time. So I want you to be very realistic, because now you have realistic expectations around how often you can publish new pieces of content, or how often you can show up on different marketing channels, right? And that is like the big thing that typically lifts a big weight off of people's shoulders. So there it is, the marketing that you really need to do. And it wasn't complicated, and it clearly didn't take that much time, because we're 30 minutes into this webinar, right? But the thing is that now I'm pretty confident that you have like a solid like starting point of, okay, this is what I really need to focus on that's good for me. And you're now going to have marketing that's focused on driving toward your goals and isn't built around what someone else is telling you should be doing. You're going to have marketing that's built to fit your schedule, so you actually have a shot at getting it done, right? Consistency, that's what we want. And then you're going to have marketing that is leaning into what works, because that is the most important thing, that you keep doing the marketing that works, and then you experiment when things maybe aren't working as well, or you just want to try something new, but always do the thing that works. Side note, I watched part of Swingers for the first time because I fell asleep during the movie, because I'm an old lady. And you always double down on 11, right? When you're playing blackjack, always double down on 11. Always do the marketing channel that works for you the most. So when you start to do the marketing that you really need to do, this is what happens. It's all good stuff, you guys. You don't feel pressure to be everywhere, which is a big old sigh of relief. You can better sift through the marketing advice that you're getting in those summits and from webinars, because you're a smarter marketer now, and you know what like, here's my lane, right? And that helps boost your confidence about all the things that you're doing. And then you just have more time to do the other stuff. And sometimes the other stuff is other business stuff, but I'm crossing my fingers that that other stuff is more fun stuff, right? More playtime. Because even though we're grown-ups with businesses, we should somehow work in time for play. So really, at the end, you and your marketing go from that jarbled line that looks like chaos to this version where you're like, I'm super confident about my marketing. It doesn't stress me out. Let's do this. I'm going to get it done. And then I'm going to get to all the other things that are on my list. And maybe at this point in time, you're thinking like, well, gee, Taylor, like you made this sound super easy. But what does a marketing strategy or doing it in real life actually look like? Or maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're like, I'm still so in the weeds and like in the doing too much phase of things. Like, Taylor, can I just have someone like do the first draft for me? So this is where I have to mention that Enji is an option for you in both of those camps. So Enji is marketing software for small business owners who have to do their own marketing. And if you are meeting it for the first time, hi. If not, and you've seen our software before, here's just a little refresher. But really, marketing is all of the things because we don't do a really great job at getting ourselves organized once we've got any sort of plan in place. And so we built this software. We actually turned me into the software so that you have the things to actually help you answer these questions and give you recommendations and all of the tools that you need to do your marketing and do it quickly. And you can start a free trial at enji.co to kind of see it, play around with it for the first time, or I will definitely be sending more information about all of the features that we've got and all of the ways that it helps you do your own marketing when I send out the replay. But you can see you can create your marketing strategy. You're gonna answer a few more questions than 5 because Enji is gonna get even deeper into your marketing because you can ask yourself 5 questions because like your brain already knows like all the little back details, but Enji needs to ask you a few more so that we can get those back details out of your brain. But you can create your marketing strategy. It's going to recommend tasks for you to do to actually work toward those goals. It's got the AI copywriter and social media scheduler so that you can create content and get it pre-scheduled to go out quickly. And then a spot for you to track your metrics because that's the other soapbox that I would love for you to come find me and nerd out about because tracking your metrics is another really big and important piece of doing your marketing to at the level that it's like, this is the marketing I really need to do because the numbers will back up your intuition. So your next steps before we open things up for questions to keep thinking about the answers to those questions, those 5 questions, and finalize your marketing strategy. And remembering to not bite off more than you can chew and to not, let yourself get into that feast or famine marketing cycle. Then I will be sending out emails with the next 2 private podcast episodes that help you understand how to actually take this strategy and put it into motion in a way that you're not going to resent in the long term. And then also we're going to dig into tracking your numbers a little bit. And then if I made you smile, if I helped you learn something, or if you're just like, I like Taylor's version of weird, please come follow us on Instagram at enji_co. So I would love to answer questions now. I don't know, Danielle, I assume there were some questions that got popped into the chat. So I'd love to hear what those are.
There were. Would you like me to read them to you or send them your way?
I can't hear you because I think my speaker is set at my microphone, which doesn't work. So now I should be able to hear you.
All right, I can read some to you if that works,
Yes.
and keep sending them in the chat. So the first question we had was from Gretchen, who was asking to hear some of your ideas on referrals when it comes to referrals in Google. And Gretchen, feel free to add more context in there if there's something specific.
Yeah, when it comes to, especially in the age of artificial intelligence, because you guys, like, people are now starting to ask Chat GPT for things that are not just like, hey, can you write me this poem or create a meal plan for me? When it comes to referrals and the online space, this is why having reviews on your website, reviews on your Google business page are all really important things, because the internet needs to understand how good you are, right? Like, are people referring you? Do people say after working with you, they're like, thumbs up, must hire, would give 20 stars if I could, right? Kind of thing. And so, but it's one of those things that a lot of people kind of let slip after you've finished working with someone. Like, you offboard them, you make sure everything's tied up with a bow, they've gotten everything that they need. But then you ask them once for a review, and maybe it was buried in that last piece of communication, and then they don't do it. And that's not, you shouldn't take that personally, right? Like, humans are busy, we're all busy people. So my recommendation is to keep following up, and to, at least a couple times, to try to get those reviews online, because that's super, super smart. But you can also, in addition to your past clients and customers, y'all can like review each other. If you have other friends who are business owners, especially if you have hired one another for something, or even if you just bartered and you traded services, do both of yourself and that friend a favor and leave each other a review, because this is going to help Google understand that you are really good at what you do. I hope that if that doesn't answer your question, Gretchen, obviously, please come find me and we'll keep digging into it.
Hey, and we have Janelle asking us, saying that she's wondering if choosing the wrong timeline, like I know everyone is different, but wondering if, say, Monday all day is best each week rather than an hour, 5 days a week. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on this is that is the simple but super impactful shift that you can make with your marketing. Like, I have, as a person, helped my clients do this back when, like, my main job was not founder of a startup who was actually working with clients. But actually, this is something that Enji helps people do as well. Because if you think about what you can accomplish in, like, well, let's go back to the example of, you have 2 hours a week to work on your marketing. Whatever 2 hours is divided by 5, Brett could probably answer that question really quickly. But whatever that is, that's just a little chunk of time that you're working on something every day. And so you can't like write a blog post in a little chunk of time. So all of a sudden now, that one blog post takes you all freaking week to get done. And that's at 24 minutes. There we go. You can't write a blog post in 24 minutes, right? Even with AI, probably, because you've got to review it and you've got to do all these things. But an hour you could. So if you just block that 1 hour on one day, you can actually accomplish something that's substantive, rather than just little bits and pieces of your marketing that always feel incomplete. So, like, it's so simple, and most people already do this in some way, shape, or form across their business, like time blocking, batching, whatever you want to call it. But it absolutely works for your marketing, because most of our marketing tasks just require a little bit more time, a little bit of deep thinking, or even if you just want to be more intentional about it, right? Like, you need to give yourself some white space. So, like, give yourself the hour or 2 hour block versus 24 minutes where you start to feel really desperate about you're racing the clock to get something done. So that is I love talking about that and routines in general, but
I was going to throw in there because I'm using your platform, and I asked you the other day about tasks, or maybe you didn't answer me. I don't know who answered me. Um, and I couldn't figure out how to move the dates in the calendar. So I kind of like spread everything out, which I think helps. However, I'm wondering if it's actually maybe just the day, because I was doing things on Thursday, but I felt like Thursdays were very hectic. So I
Yeah.
might maybe take your suggestion and still do everything all at once. Because I find like when I get onto the platform, I'm like, I'm into it. I'm loving it. And I'm like knocking things off and, posting and like it's really fun, right? But maybe it's just like the wrong day. I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, we have next Tuesday. If you can join the CMO session, try to join, and then we can have you share your screen and we can dig into that. If not,
Yeah.
we'll shoot me another message and then
Okay.
we'll get that squared away. But making like it is really the biggest thing that you, and I do this for myself as well, even though my job is marketing. So I work on marketing every day, but that's like I'm working on marketing 30 plus hours a week, right? That's not what none of you should be working on marketing 30 hours a week. But I batch my time. Like Mondays are for this and Tuesdays are for that and Wednesdays are for this, instead of like thinking I'm going to do a little bit of each project every single day. So we can absolutely get your routine dialed, Janelle. Not a problem.
So Bethel is dying to know if we can really stay off TikTok and not feel guilty about that, even being in the wedding industry. I know my answer, but let's hear yours.
Yeah, you should never feel guilty about not doing something. Like if it doesn't fit your like the answers to those questions, and remember I talked about like if you just hate it, like please don't make yourself do things that you hate, because you just won't do, you are gonna half-ass it, and then eventually you're just gonna tap out. So like don't even, that's another JR thing. My dadisms, don't half-ass it. Like if you feel compelled to like, or if you don't feel compelled to do a good job with it, then let it go. Because there are plenty of other short form platforms or short form video platforms that you could be on, right? Like you could do obviously Instagram, but hi, YouTube Shorts, that's something that is kind of like overlooked in the creative space, but feeds the Google gods, right? Like we want to please the Google gods. So maybe instead of being on TikTok, which is like, is it going to be here today? Is it not? No one knows. Like invest that short form time into a platform that you know is actually going to be around and then has a bigger purpose than just being quick consumable pieces of content. Maddie said yes to the Google gods. So
Okie doke. Does Enji have prompts or suggestions on what content to write for blogs and social media? I'm a little spiraling on I'm a great wedding planner. You should hire me.
oh, yes. I'm sure you are, whoever asked that question, I'm sure you are a great wedding planner and people should hire you. But one of the features that we recently added to the platform is an idea generator. So the cool thing is when you create your account on Enji, we ask you for your website, and then we've got an AI that goes and like scrapes, reads, whatever, whatever word you want to use. It goes and understands your business based on the website that you gave us. And that actually then feeds the idea generator. So our idea generator is connected to the concept of content pillars, which are basically just overarching themes that your content should be touching base on. So things like educational content versus inspirational content versus promotional. And so when you say, Enji, give me ideas, it already knows about your business, and then it'll give you ideas that are cycling through the content pillars to help you just not have to work from a blank slate, because analysis paralysis or overthinking, blank canvas syndrome are all very real. But also the idea generator will help you make sure that you're not like just talking about inspirational stuff, or you're not just educating people, or you're not just selling, because your marketing needs to cycle through all of these parts of your message so that you're not just saying, hi, I'm a wedding planner, you should hire me, right? So that's the one feature that's super easy for us to call out that is going to help you like have something to say, even when you're like, I've said the thing 100,000 times and I have no more ways to say it.
Amazing. And Laura, I think, sorry if I get this wrong, but I think Laura said that she is super pumped about Enji. There is so much hope to streamline my brain and ideas, looking to set up channels and then hook up an assistant to then take over as my Enji manager. Is Enji set up to do this kind of business management?
It is. So you can add team members to your account. Doesn't cost anything extra. And so after you have created the plan, which as the business owner is what I'm assuming you want, like, hey, I'm going to set the direction, the expectations that I have for what my assistant would do. Then you can add them to your account and you can assign the tasks that they need to take care of to them. And then you have all of the oversight into like, well, this is the plan. Are these tasks getting checked off? Yes or no? And then also you can set up, we have direct integrations to a lot of the different like Meta platforms, Google Analytics, Pinterest, things like that, so that your metrics can already automatically populated in your performance tab. So you've made the plan, you have oversight into it getting done. And then you also can easily see how that effort is actually translating into like, what's your marketing doing for me? Is my website traffic going up? Or, is my Instagram engagement rate going up or down? Or, what are all of those questions that you have? Because that kind of like justifies, which us marketers, we know that the numbers are what people look at to like say, is this a good spend or is this not? But it is really important for you to have also that sort of insight into what your assistant is going to be helping you with.
That's awesome.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Without a ton of leads or prospects, do you think blogging would work better than email marketing?
Ooh, without a lot of prospects. So, okay, this is like kind of a loaded question to me because my answer actually would depend on what type of business it is, which I'm curious. Because what you are selling is a service that is like kind of at a higher price point, then my knee-jerk reaction is to focus on email marketing, because the more money your thing costs, the more convincing people need, right? Like the more research they're going to do, the more like emotional they are about a purchase. Whereas if you have like a $50 product that's a one-time thing, it's like, do you want this thing? Yes or no, right? Then working on marketing on Google to make sure that that product is getting found would definitely be really smart. So whoever asked that question, if you want, again, to nerd out on that, then come find us on Instagram and we can DM and we can get into the weeds about it all.
Right. How does marketing and publicity group together? Should you do both?
Yes, please do both. So the way that I like to help people understand the difference between marketing and publicity, which I can never say. That's why I say PR, public relations. The difference is marketing is when you are talking about your own business, and PR is when other people are talking about your business. And so I like to operate off of the premise that like no one knows our businesses exist. And so we have to talk about our businesses to help people know that they exist. But then other people also, if we can get them talking about our business, that also helps. Because ideally, that customer who is hearing about your business from somebody else, they already have a certain level of trust with that person. And so it becomes easier for them to decide to buy from you than not. And I'll actually share a very real world example. Like, Enji, we're turning 2. We're celebrating our 2nd business birthday in May, but on May 8th specifically. And especially when we first launched, like literally no one knew we existed. We were a brand new business. And so people are like, okay, well, like I kind of get what you're doing, but I don't know just yet. And so right out the gate, I knew that I needed to get other folks to talk about Enji. And it's also one of the reasons we started an affiliate program really early. And that was super successful and helpful because the people who are our affiliates, they have audiences, communities, followings of people that trust them and they trust their opinion. And they know, like, hey, this person isn't going to tell me to go check something out if they think it's crap, right? So if they hear about something from that person, they are more likely to be like open to trying it out versus someone meets me for the first time. I'm like, I don't even know who this crazy lady is who makes faces and like weird voices when she talks. Like, why would I buy what she's selling me? Right. So that's my long-winded, sort of complicated explanation of like the differences between the two, but you absolutely should do both. But I'll close with this. Doing PR doesn't mean you have to have a publicist. It doesn't mean that it has to be on big like TV stations or big media outlets. Anytime that you're getting someone else to talk about your business, that's PR. So again, in your professional community of, hey, here are my business owning friends and we have like related services or related products, you guys should be collaborating on content to talk about one another's, businesses and what you do. And that absolutely is PR and it absolutely is good for, your marketing mix to include that.
All right. So we've got a question about getting transcriptions from videos and then from their online course or program. And it was suggested that they put those into ChatGPT to get content suggestions for social. Are those transcriptions something I can put into Enji in some way for the same reasons?
Yeah. So what you can do is you can take, if it's like the transcription for something like this would be really long. The best way to go about it with Enji is to take the highlights of the transcription and put it into the body of something like one of our copywriter documents for a blog post. So, do a little bit of like, okay, well, what were the main points that I was making? And take those sections and then create a blog outline with the copywriter. And then you can hit draft it for me and it'll write a blog post based on the parts of the transcription that it gave you. And that's the only, I'm like, that's the only way you could do that right now. But, one of the things that's our AI copywriter and just our AI tools in general are a little bit more of a closed box because I want, in some instances, for you to, take that 30 seconds and like do some thinking about what it is you're really trying to get out of this versus giving ChatGPT just an open playing field to give you something. Because if I know humans, I know that a lot of times we look for shortcuts. And sometimes in that looking for a shortcut, we don't review things the way we should. And then, hi, the AI wrote something that like, whoa, we didn't want that to be in there. Or like, that wasn't the point I was trying to make. That wasn't like, or that's just like straight up something weird. And so that's why our AI copywriter wouldn't support you taking a big old transcription and just dumping it in there. So, but we're always making updates to all of our features. And so whenever people want something new or they want something to work a little bit differently, I've got a running list of all the things that folks ask for, and we're currently like working through building a lot of the social media ones. But we always want to know how we can make our existing features work differently or better based on what you need. So just because it is the way it is now doesn't mean that's the way it's going to be forever.
Amazing. And so, how do you market to two different targets or groups, such as couples versus planners/venues in the same channels, and not send confusing info to the other? How is this achieved in Engie?
So in Enji, part of your marketing strategy is we want you to build out your customer personas so that you have documentation of who you're doing your marketing for, because we don't actually do marketing for us. We do it for, right? Like in this example, we do it for engaged couples, or we're trying to talk to other venues. So that's step one, is actually just defining those 2 or however many customer personas you've got. But in general, when it comes to marketing and not wanting to like confuse people, this is something I get asked quite a bit. Because the reality is most of us are marketing to more than one customer persona. And so with something like social media, and we'll just say Instagram in particular, there's not a great way to not mix your messages, right? It's one space. And so just all the things go on your Instagram account. But on marketing channels like email marketing, you absolutely should be using segmentation and creating different lists within your email list so that you've got, here are my couples versus here are my professional partners, so that when you want to talk to your couples, you can just talk to your couples. Or when you want to talk to your professional segment, you can just talk to them. And no one has to see stuff that feels confusing to them. And then with something like a blog, this is where really getting like spending time figuring out what are the SEO keywords that couples would be researching versus venues or professional partners, and then writing the content that one or the other wants. And then you can use something like blog categories to organize the things on your actual website. Now, you can't prevent a couple going into the professional category, but you're at least letting them know that these are 2 separate spaces, right? And if they don't identify as hey, I want to learn like professional information, it's most likely that people won't go there. So those are some examples and my thoughts about how you would market to multiple customer personas in one space. I think we have time for maybe one more question, and then we'll wrap things up.
One more question, but one quick half question before I get to the final question. Will the Q&A be a part of the recording?
Yes. This is
Perfect.
all still recording, so everyone will get all of these things.
Amazing. Okay. And so if we were to decide to purchase an Enji membership, would a Google Ads course still be valuable?
Yes. I mean, everyone, I'm a former educator, so I want y'all to be like always investing in your marketing education, because this is how we get better at this over time. And, when it comes to advertising specifically, that's like one of the more confusing marketing channels that you could be on and try to manage on your own. So absolutely, if you're wanting to manage your own Meta ads or Google ads, I highly encourage you to learn from people who just do that. Like that's their zone of expertise, because there's lots of things to click to get to this spot and they're kind of always changing. So you want to make sure that you have a really good baseline understanding of what those things are. Enji, with all of our tasks that we recommend, there are like blog posts and different pieces of education, sometimes YouTube videos, to help you know like what's the next step to take if you have no idea what to do with that if you're like, there's a task that says optimize your website and you're like, I don't know how to optimize my website, there's something that's going to help you do that. But like I said, with things like advertisements, that is a deep marketing channel that I would recommend investing some time in education on. So, right. Well, those were awesome questions. Thank you so much to everyone who's still live here on the call. I really, really appreciate you registering for this webinar. This is the first time that we did a live webinar that we opened up to the public. So I've been working on this for a very long time, and thank you for not making me feel like, oh my God, no one showed up for my thing. Because, hi, marketers, they're just like us. We have emotions. But B, I know you all have very busy schedules, and I hope that you took more than a nugget or 2 away from our time together. If you have any follow-up questions, find me on Instagram. I'm going to be sending out the replay with some emails to help you know what the next steps for you to take once you've got your marketing strategy in place, as well as some more information about how Enji can help you create your marketing strategy, get it all organized, and then off the ground and running. But I hope you all have a fantastic rest of the day. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you around on the internet, my friends. Bye.